All right, we'll call the November meeting of the Hartsville Troutsdale County Planning Commission to order. Mary Ann, would you like to do the roll call, please?
Mary Ann Baker's here. Carol Pruitt. Here. Sarah Murray. Here. David Nallner. Here. Thomas Harper. Here. Mark Swaffer. Here. Rhonda Kiesling. Here. John Kerr.
Here.
Sam Edwards. Absent. And Mary Turner.
Okay, so all the committee members are here, everybody except one of our advisors, Sam, our building inspector. Looks like the first item on the agenda is the election of officers for this year. And I highly recommend that someone better qualified run for chairman. Would not hurt my feelings at all. I guess we need to start with that one. We'll just go in the order here. Are there any nominations for chairman? Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to leave the officers just like they are.
All of them?
All of
Oh, you're trying to save time, huh?
Second that motion.
Talk about railroad. Who is vice chairman? I'm not even sure. David Nallner is vice chairman. Mary Ann, secretary. Mr. Nallner, would you accept reappointment then, re-election, I guess it would be, to Mary Ann? Okay. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to keep the officers the same as they were last year. When it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. It does carry. Next on our agenda is the approval of the October 11th Planning Commission meeting minutes. You received a copy of this almost a month ago and have had time to look at it. Is there any items on the minutes that need to be corrected or added to or discussed in any way? Okay, I would then accept a motion to approve the October minutes. Motion by Mr. Nallner. Do I have a second? Sarah seconds. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. The minutes are approved. Does anybody have any changes they'd like to make, any additions or anything to tonight's agenda? Then we will go with the agenda that we have. There's no public hearings tonight, no old business. We do have one item of new business. This is a request by George Holder, and I'm going to call him Sam because that's all I know. So a request by Sam Holder and his sister Mary Ann Mudd for the rezoning of Dalton Holla RD properties totaling 6 acres. This is a one lot that is, I believe, 5 acres and one lot that is 1 acre. And they would like to change the zoning from A1 to C1 on one of them, and from R1 to C2 for property values. At this time, Sam, would you please come to the microphone over here? Please sign in there if you don't mind, and kind of tell us what you and Mary Ann would like to do.
Well, and forgive me, I know I have trouble talking, I don't have the tongue. We were simply requesting that we could get this zone to commercial. I have had quite a few offers for the sale of this property, but they've all been commercial enterprises that were interested. we don't have a personally intend to do anything with it in regards to anything residential, and as far as the part that's listed as agriculture, it's a lot. And not enough of it to farm either. And so that is the reason for asking for it.
Okay,
And I may not immediately sell it, but I want the opportunity to be able to. And I've been very prepared to list it with any of the local or any of the other out of town real estate at this time. I wanted to do it personally.
so correct me if I'm wrong, but the main purpose of Sam and his sister wanting to rezone this property is so that it can be, become a money maker, so that they can possibly sell it and bring in some business to the county. And
That's correct. And let me say again, and I can't divulge the actual people because I have an oral agreement with them, I wouldn't, but there's one of them that would be profitable for the county.
okay. Okay. Do any members of the planning commission have any questions for Mr. Holder while he's at the microphone? Okay. Mary has given us her report on this. Mary, would you like to go over your report?
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to clarify, just so we're all on the same page, the reason this request originally came in as a rezoning from A1 to C1 was just an error in his application. The two properties that we're looking at, the one that's 6 acres actually sits right outside the Hartsville Urban Services District and is zoned A1. And then the one that's 1 acre is actually right inside the Hartsville Urban Services District and is currently zoned R1. And the C1 zoning district in the Troutsdale County zoning resolution is the highway commercial zoning, and is generally the only commercial zoning in the Troutsdale County zoning resolution. But then in the urban services district, there's the C1 and the C2. And if you'll recall, the C1 zoning in the urban services district is the central downtown, which is more aimed at the center of the city. And the C2 is the highway services. So they're a similar zoning, there's some variation, and you'll see that in your packet between the two zoning districts, but I did just want to clarify why that's changed since you initially saw it. So I'm gonna go through the staff report real quick as two separate pieces because of the difference in what they're going from and to, just so we're not getting too confused. The first property that I'm going to talk about is the one that is the 6 acre piece that's outside the Troutsdale Urban Services, or outside the Hartsville Urban Services District. This property is on the east side of Dalton Hollow Road, on the north edge outside of the Urban Services District boundary. The adjacent properties are zoned A1, agriculture forestry, and then the adjacent properties inside, since this is on the edge, are zoned R1, low density residential. This property is in the Hartsville-Troutsdale Water and Sewer Utility District. There's a 6-inch water line on Dalton Hollow Road. There's no sewer line in this area. The nearest sewer line is an 8-inch line south of the property on Halltown Road. The property is not in a special flood hazard area and is not identified as having any significant steep slopes. The growth plan identifies this area as a rural area outside the Urban Services District growth boundary. The plan states that rural areas are not prevented from being used as commercial, residential, or industrial development. However, any such use should be less dense and should retain the character of the area. Low to moderate density is allowed in these areas. Dale Hollow Road is not identified as an arterial or collector in the major thoroughfare plan. So in the zoning district standards, A1, the zoning of the property currently is intended to preserve space for agricultural and forestry uses, which together comprise an important part of the economy. The primary intent of A1 is to minimize conflicts between those activities and various non-farm activities. And then the C1 General Commercial District, which the applicant is requesting to rezone to, is established to provide areas in which the principal use of land is devoted to general and highway commercial activities along principal thoroughfares in Troutsdale County. Let's see, trying to figure through. The uses permitted by right in the C1 zoning district are included in your packet on the end of page 3 through to page 4, if you'd like to see which commercial uses are allowed in that zoning district. The lot size requirements would result in this property being up to about 7 lots as far as the density goes. If public sewer is not extended to the property, the maximum density from the 5-acre property would be about 7 lots. In staff's rendering of this rezoning request, the property is not constrained by floodplain or steep slopes and appears to be served by water. The C1 zoning district is noted as being suitable to principal thoroughfares in Troutsdale County. Staff would note that Dale Hollow Road is not identified as an arterial or collector in the major thoroughfare plan. And there are no other properties outside of the urban services district with commercial zoning that are adjacent to this property. There are properties that are zoned commercial nearby within the urban services district. However, those properties front on Halltown Road, which is identified as a collector. Halltown Road transitions in this area from being a collector to Dale Hollow Road, which is not identified as an arterial or collector. The second property, that's about 1 acre, is on the east side of Dale Hollow Road as well, right below this one, and is inside the urban services district on the north edge. The properties that are adjacent are zoned R1 low density residential and C2 highway commercial. This property is in the Hartsville and Troutsdale water and sewer utility district as well. There's a 6-inch water line on Dale Hollow Road. And again, there is no sewer line. The nearest sewer line is an 8-inch line south of this property on Halltown Road. This property is also not in a special flood hazard zone and it does not have any significant steep slopes. The growth plan identifies the subject property as within the urban services district and therefore a planned growth area. Dalton Hollow Road is not identified as an arterial or collector in the major thoroughfare plan again. The R1 district, the property is currently zoned, is designed to provide suitable areas for low density residential development characterized by an open appearance. C2, which the applicant is requesting to rezone to, is established to provide areas in which the principal uses of land are devoted to general and highway commercial activities on the principal thoroughfares. So again, very similar to that C1. This zoning district does note that all lots should be considered fronting on either arterial or collector roads as indicated on the thoroughfare plan. With the lot size requirements in the zoning district, this property is around 1 acre, so the maximum density allowed would be about 4 lots. In staff's rendering of this rezoning request, the property is not constrained by floodplain or steep slopes and is served by water. The sewer line is near enough that sewer could potentially be extended to this property and is within the urban services district, which is identified as a planned growth area. The C2 highway commercial zoning district, however, is noted as being suitable for principal arterials through Hartsville and on routes indicated as arterials or collectors in the major thoroughfare plan. Dale Hollow Road is not noted as an arterial or collector. The nearby properties that are adjacent that are zoned C2 do have frontage on Halltown Road, which is identified as a collector in the major thoroughfare plan. And again, the uses permitted in the C2 district are on pages 6 and 7 in your packet. If you want to see what those uses are. Actually, I guess it's page 6 through 8. There's a lot of uses. And then pages 10 through 12 include maps of the 2 properties. The last page in your packet, you can see the split between these 2 properties where that northern one sits right outside the urban services district and the southern property is right inside that services district, and where they sit in relation to New Halltown Road, just above that on Dale Hollow. If you have any questions on the staff comments, let me know.
Samir, where's the nearest, you didn't say anything about, is it spot zoning? Where's the
So I
nearest commercial?
did, so if you look at the southern property, if you look on page 12, you can kind of see this on the map. There is C2 zoning across the street, but I did try to note that C2 zoning fronts on New Halltown Road, which is identified as a collector in the major thoroughfare plan. And that C2 zoning district really states that the lots should front on arterials or collectors. And this property does not, it's just above that on Dale Hollow Road. So it is close to commercial zoning, however. The one right up, the bigger property is not immediately adjacent to any other commercial zoning. That C2 zoning to the south, and it's labeled on your map in page 12, is the nearest commercial to both of the properties.
Other questions for Mary? One, let's clear up something. It's Dalton Holla Road, not Dale Holla. Just to make sure, I just want everybody to make sure we know where we're talking about.
Did I switch what I was saying halfway through there?
Yeah, you kind of went from Dalton to Dale and then, but
been a
that's
long-
fine. I just want to make sure everybody is aware. If you look at the map on the very back, it's a very good rendering of where it is in location to turning left there on Dalton Holla, and it's just right up the road there.
I'm looking at an email in front of me that says Dale Hollow RPO. So
I thought we'd gone to the lake for a
apologies
minute
for
there.
the switch between them.
Again, I just want to make sure everybody's 100% sure where we're, where we're looking, what we're looking at and where it is. While you're looking and thinking, Mayor, you got some comments you'd like to make about this rezoning?
I was just looking at the map and you do see, it's kind of that larger piece of property that the hospital owned when they were going to build a new hospital in conjunction with the prison developing, I think 2006, 7, and 8, somewhere around in there. And that is currently C2, so it is kind of right across the street from it. So you do have it C2 right across the street, as Mary said, and then you cross into the general services, and obviously there's no commercial near there. I'm kind of torn, I hear somebody saying they want to bring business here, and that sounds good to me because we need to get more jobs here and get more revenue and all that stuff and give people opportunity. But at the same time, I'm a little bit concerned about traffic on that road and at that angle where it comes in at, but at the same time, there is C2 right across the street. So I know that didn't add much to the conversation, but that's just kind of, it is in the area. And I know this area is developing where they're going to bid out next month, the improvement to that intersection. So it's going to be a 4-way turning lanes and all this stuff. So it's a great improvement to that intersection. And the retail strategist group that the Industrial Development Board retained to look at retail recruiting said that property it's right across the street from is the best commercial property we've got in the entire county. So I could see that kind of spilling over into this area too, developing.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. I was going to point that out. You have a huge C2 area right there, the old Wagner homestead. And hospital owned it for a while. I believe the Carmen's own, I think it's Matthew, but I'm not sure which one. It doesn't matter. But it is a huge C2 piece of property right there. And the mayor made a good point, which I had forgotten, that the intersection there at the red light is due to be made better, worked on in the new year.
Yeah, it's supposed to go to bid around the middle of December. Once it's awarded, it has an 18-month construction time.
Well, that's certainly an intersection that needs some attention. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, ma'am.
I just think there's some concern with how narrow the road is there, and that large portion of C2 that's across the street, it's been zoned that way for so long and has been undeveloped for so long, so we could end up with a really awkward situation having commercial property set back there, and then another piece of commercial that's not being used in front of it.
That's true. Of course, one of the things with commercial property is the availability of it, and having property already zoned commercial gives the people like the mayor and Chamber of Commerce, whoever is promoting businesses, well, we've got these properties that are already zoned. You don't have to go through the process and stuff. And so that is one advantage. It is a old country road right there. It is pretty narrow, as Sarah says. And one thing about commercial is sometimes these people make road improvements to help those type of things. Sometimes they don't, but.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I do just want to note again from the staff perspective, as I mentioned, New Halltown Road is currently a collector. In the past, when you've looked at rezonings, you've tried to stay consistent with what's in the zoning description of commercial property fronting on an arterial collector. These properties both fall on Dale Hollow Road, Dalton, Dalton Hollow Road, which is not noted as an arterial collector right now in the major thoroughfare plan. You know, that may be something this commission wants to consider moving forward, is an update to the major thoroughfare plan if you're looking at the potential of adding more roads as spaces for commercial property. But I do just want to note in the past what you've all been consistent with in that zoning district description from the staff perspective.
Yeah, and also just to follow up there too, I think it's important because we have several new members. I'm newer as well, but we need to keep with consistency with what we're doing. Most of the time when these kind of requests come up, I don't think I'm mistaken about this, there's a purpose. So we're zoning use here, and there's no planned use. I just think that's really dangerous. And it's just not consistent with what we've been doing over the last 2 years that I've been on this commission.
Other comments from members?
I agree with Mark. And the difference to me between the Carmen property and this is the Carmen property does come out at almost at the intersection. So that's a little better road than this little narrow country road we have here. So I'm not really liking this zoning. Although it is across from the Carmens, and if they are going to put a new road through there, I would be glad to support it. But I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, I don't know what the plans, I hadn't heard anything about a new road through there, but.
That's what concerns me is the road there.
Other comments, questions? Yes, sir.
Would R3 be a better for that?
Mary, what would be the difference? Of course, that would be up to the property owner.
I know, I
to
do.
decide which zoning, Sam and his sister have a request in, which we will have to act on. But you're suggesting that possibly R3 might be something they would like to look at should this fail. Okay.
The question is about R3 zoning. I mean, the applicant would have to request it. And I would note that R3 zoning is not available for the larger property because there's no R3 zoning in the Troutsdale County zoning resolution. So that would just be for the acre portion. Let me double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Okay. While Mary's checking on that, does anybody else have any questions or comments they'd like to make? Okay. We'll give Mary a minute here to find what she's looking for.
Obviously, Sam's not here, but normally he would give his recommendation. Did he comment before he left? I mean, it's really his role.
Do you know of any comments that Sam has about this rezoning request that, and if he hasn't made any public, that's fine.
Actually, Mr. Edwards thought that this was a little too soon to go for commercial, that if they had waited a little bit longer to see what's going to happen to this other commercial property, that it would be better.
So his comments seem to be in line with Mr. Swaffer's, that maybe a specific use already, a known specific use would be better to wait for instead of just rezoning property and just having it sitting out there. Am I stating that right, Mark?
That's exactly my concern.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
And just to clarify, there is no R3 zoning in the Troutsdale County zoning resolution. So that wouldn't be an option for him to request. The highest would be R2.
And like I said, the property owners would work with Sam, could come in and work with Sam on any different type of request that they may have, should this not pass. All right, any other questions, comments by any member of the commission? Seeing none, hearing none, would anyone care to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to deny the request.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to deny this request. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a motion and a second to send this to the, this will go to the Troutsdale County Commission, and that it will go with a negative recommendation should your motion and second pass. Okay, does everybody understand what we're voting on? All those in favor of denying the request, say aye. Any opposed, say no. It will be sent to the county commission with a negative recommendation from the planning commission. Sam, you can talk to Sam, the building, and get a lot of Sams here. Mayor, what day do y'all meet this month? I mean, I know with being Thanksgiving.
I believe it is the 22nd. I believe, give me just a second and I'll verify that.
Okay.
But I believe it's on the 22nd of this month.
But it will go to the planning, I mean, to the county commission. Yes, sir.
It is on the 22nd at 7 p.m.
Okay, and it'll come up on the 22nd, 7 o'clock. Right here. Am I right, Mayor? Okay. I don't know of any discussion topics. Do we have?
I have one topic. It's not necessarily discussion, but because they didn't have a certificate or anything to verify that you attended the 4-hour training, I just want to get it in the minutes for anyone who did watch all 4 hours of the training already.
I'm the only sucker that did it.
If you did, please.
I did
state
register. I don't know if that counts, but.
You did complete it already.
I didn't get all of it.
I'll register as you tell me, the video there.
It was a Zoom.
The video is not, the recording is not out yet. When the recording is distributed, I'll make sure you all know, and I'll check in if it's not distributed shortly, but I just want to see if anyone did attend live that we record
I
their
did.
hours now. Okay, so Chairman John Kerr did attend live as well.
Well, I did, but I'm not a member of the commission, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you don't need to train. Good extracurricular. We'll write you down for brownie points, right?
Okay. All right, moving on then. The chairman has no report to make. The report from the building inspector, you can see there, he had his printed out. The number of residential permits was about the same as a year ago. Total square footage was down just a little. Permit fees were down about $2,200 roughly. Accessory permits were up too, and the accessory permit fees was up double. So you can look at that and see, of course, typically this time of year, things begin to slow down with the cooler weather coming on. But the way we've been going, I don't know, you know, they seem to be building right and left. It does say here at the bottom that several companies are searching for locations to relocate or to establish their businesses. Building supply costs are coming back down. So that's a comment there that Sam has sent us to make. I just wanted to call your attention to that. Any other comments, questions, or anything from any members of the commission? Yes, ma'am.
I shared with Rosalie that I like seeing the number of permits and the dollar amount of permits instead of just, well, we got more than we did last month.
I
Which is
agree.
usually
I
what we
like
did.
the exact number.
I like knowing. It kind of, in my mind, makes sense if I see how many permits and how much money. So, good job, Rosalie.
Well, sometimes when you get an answer like, well, it's better than last, this
That
time
don't
last
tell
year,
us
something,
anything.
you're wondering if they're just guessing. Yeah, yeah. So that's a point I see is getting written down. Maybe we can get that each month.
Question on the training. Did we get, because you mentioned in your email the 4 hours, which most of us know, did we get credit for what we did at the PowerPoint thing? Or
Yeah, you did get 1 hour, so you technically just need to complete 3
Okay.
more. I would recommend watching the full training though, if you're able to. It was a good training.
Okay.
Any other questions regarding training or anything else?
Hey, Johnny, is Dave still, nobody called Dave Thomas. Is he gone or he wasn't mentioned? He was and you said everybody was kind of,
Oh,
is he still, I mean, I just.
Mary Ann didn't call it. I was listening to the hears
Is
and
Thomas not like, is Dave gone?
I'm glad you brought that up. So David is the only commissioner that's absent tonight. Okay. Before we adjourn, don't get too quick there, Ms. Nolan. I would like to take this opportunity to tell everybody I hope you have a very nice Thanksgiving. Please enjoy the holiday. Seems like a time that we can, I don't have to have somebody tell me to enjoy it with my family, but it seems like a lot of people do. But now that they're saying that you can, I hope everybody can enjoy the holidays with their family and friends and really enjoy it. Now, Mr. Nolan, 50 years. Well, your wife deserves a big present.
Yeah. Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? We are adjourned. 50th. Wow.